Monday Morning Quarterback, episode 161, PM edition. If you didn't watch our live this morning, be sure to do so. That was a makeup from last week. Jack was out sick, and sickness is kind of rolling through the shop as seasons are changing here and it's getting cold in the Midwest. But I'd set out a schedule of all the ones we were going to do, topics, prepared for those topics, so I want to make sure we don't miss any of them. So we did a double today. It is archived on our Facebook and our YouTube page. Speaking of YouTube, please subscribe if you watch these on YouTube. We have over 200 tech videos and other funny CSI videos and all sorts of good stuff there. Also, if you're a TikToker, which I'm not, but if you're a TikToker, look for at CSI Shocks USA. We're going to be producing some more TikTok content and some behind the scenes stuff, a chance to get behind the curtain and see what goes on here at CSI on a daily basis. So our great video producer Jack is going to handle that and some more content creation for you guys. Without further ado, tonight's topic is one that we get a lot of questions on, and whether you're a dirt racer or an asphalt racer, you're going to be able to benefit from this. So we're going to talk in depth how the pros, how the high-level crew chiefs analyze and read a racetrack. Again, whether it's dirt racing or asphalt racing, it's super, super important, because if you do all the work ahead of time and your car is maintenance and squared and perfect, and you unload it with a great baseline setup, but you don't stay up with the track throughout the night, you're not going to have a successful night, because you go to the payout window at the end of the night, not at the beginning of the night. So you want to make sure you stay up with the racetrack. So the first thing we're going to talk about is dirt racing and how to go about reading a dirt track. A dirt track provides its own set of challenges. I don't want to say that it's easier or harder than asphalt racing. The one thing I like about a dirt track is it's really easy visually to see when the track is going a certain direction, where asphalt racing, it's not as easy to see. So on a dirt track, when these guys first get to the track, a lot of them, especially the old school guys, they're walking up to the track with a screwdriver in their pocket. They're going to see how far down in the racetrack that goes, really give them an idea of how deep the water is in that racetrack, whether it's really hard packed and it's going to go from greasy to slick straight away, or if there's an opportunity for that track to stay really good throughout the night. In addition to that, really helpful now that we have all these great streaming platforms and so much data in My Race Pass and Race Monitor to go back and look how the track's played out the previous few weeks. Has it been one on the top? Has it been one on the bottom? Somewhere in between? Does it vary every week? I think what you'll find if you were to pattern this is typically, these tracks play out very similar week to week. Now, some instances where that could change dirt racing would be place got a lot of rain during the week, or on race day it's really windy, which typically will dry a track out pretty quick, or a big temperature swing. But outside of those things, typically these guys that are prepping the dirt tracks, they're doing religiously the same thing every week, right? When the races are over, they have their routine, whether it's just blading it or opening the track up. Certain days of the week, they're watering that track. They're putting a measured amount of water on that racetrack. They're tilling it up. They're rolling it in the same fashion. So unless they're kind of chasing their tail and maybe their track's taking rubber a couple weeks in a row, these guys get into a routine and you see the tracks play out pretty similar. Another instance that could be an outlier on how a track's going to play out, a dirt track's going to play out, is if there's substantially more or less cars on that given night, or cars of a different category. So oftentimes here in the Midwest, the sprint cars are sharing the track with like a IMCA Modified or Hornet, and those type of race cars with narrower tires tend to rut the track up or bring moisture back up in the track, where the big wide tires of a sprint car or midget tend to pack the track down and can get slicker quicker. We also see wing racing where they're going a second, 2 seconds a lap faster. Those tracks dry out a lot quicker than when the non-wing guys are there and they're not going quite as fast. So those are all things to keep in mind. But again, if you were to go back and chart how the tracks played out in previous weeks, I think that's going to give you a pretty good forecast on what might happen on that given night. And then the big thing now is with your phone, you can have Race Monitor or My Race Pass up. You know what lap times the fast guys are running early in the night and really keeping up with that throughout the night. So, you know, if quick time was a 14.0 and by the B main, the guy who won the B main's running 15.8s, man, the track's slowed down pretty substantially for the feature. You're going to have to tighten up. You might need a gear change, and some things are going to have to be changed on your race car so you can navigate the racetrack as best as possible, because the track's slowed down, you know, almost 2 seconds, and that's very common wing racing. Non-wing as well. One thing that's really thrown a loop at a lot of guys is when we change daylight savings time here in Indiana specifically, man, in the summertime it's light out till 10 o'clock at night. So that's a lot of sun on that racetrack, and a lot of times the A mains in the summer are being run when the sun's still out, which leads to a much drier racetrack. So now asphalt racing. If you're watching, please comment. Let us know where you're watching from. And if you have a question, we are happy to answer those specific questions. But asphalt racing, so you get there to the racetrack. It looks the same as it did the week before. I always bring a temperature gun to walk up and check track temp, and then I note that track temp in my setups in PitLogic, or if you're handwriting your setup sheets, I note that track temp every time as close to when we're going to go out as possible. That's the biggest indicator I have, because visually the track's going to look the same, except for some instances where the track might get darker when a lot of cars are running, might get a kind of more of a defined black groove. You don't see that very often unless you're at the same track for days on end. But getting that track temp and then knowing, asphalt racing, you can do this more than dirt racing, knowing what the time is, right? So if the time should be a 12.0 and they go out for the first round of practice and you're clocking the faster guys and they're running 12.50s, the track's not quite as fast as it normally would be, so it's lacking a little bit of grip. Then staying up on that, either with your stopwatch or an app on your phone. How is the track times changing throughout the night? If you're going to a place for the first time, I would always ask the local guys, like, hey, what's this place do when the sun goes down, right? When the turns start to get shaded, does it lose grip or does it gain grip? It seems like a silly question, but it varies greatly depending on the surface of the racetrack. I've been to asphalt tracks that get fast as can be when the sun goes down and gains grip. I've also been to other ones that get slick and like ice. And it's hard to correlate just looking at the track whether it's going to be one of those that gains grip or loses grip. Ask a local guy. If you think they're feeding you full of crap, pay attention to that stopwatch, right? The class or whatever goes out right before you, have them on the watch. See, are they going faster or slower than they did earlier in the night? And that'll be a good indicator. So a couple things asphalt racing. Track temp, and again, is a track getting faster or slower time-wise, is the best way to read which direction an asphalt track is going. To circle back on the dirt track, this is a question I get all the time as a shock tuner is, man, how do I get through that hole in turn one? And I've always tried to look at it as a percentage. So if the driver drives right through that hole in turn one, he can't avoid it. He can't go high, he can't go low. He has to drive through that hole. There's no avoiding it. How long does that slow down his car? So like a percentage. Is it 5% of the lap, or is it affecting 50% of the lap? When he hits that hole, does the car bounce all the way through the corner and you can't get down the back straightaway? If that's the case, we need to tune and figure out how to get through that hole better. If it's simply just an unsettling one bump, but it's not slowing down his lap time except for, maybe for that little 5% of the lap, I don't worry about it, because I don't want to tune my race car to get through a hole that's only affecting 5% of the lap. Now, if that hole is affecting 50% of the lap, even though it's only in one little spot, it's affecting 50% of my lap, now I need to tune for that to make sure we can get through that hole as good as possible. Because the last thing you'd want to do is change springs, change compression valving, whatever you would have to do to get through that hole, and then it slows you down the other 95% of the track, and you don't have a net gain, right? You have actually a loss because of those adjustments. So I don't know if we have any questions popping up. I don't see any yet. Thank you for everybody who participated in the super sale. That was awesome. That ended last night. We are headed to Las Vegas for the Winter Nationals on Friday. If you are racing at the Winter Nationals and you need something brought out, a shock, a spring, and whatever, get those orders in by Thursday. We're going to pack the trailer Thursday night and head west. What are the big ones? PRI is coming up. We're at the same booth as we have been, 3639. If you're coming into town for PRI, definitely stop by. We're going to have a big open house here on Thursday night. We're going to have food and drinks, and Jack's going to be doing karaoke. No, just kidding. We're going to have food and drinks, and the shop's going to be open. We'll show you the machine shop. We'll show you anything you want to see behind the scenes here at CSI. That's going to be from 6 to 9 p.m. Thursday during PRI. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. This is the 161st episode, and we still have a handful more planned before winter's out and we're back racing again every week. We are not live next week because I'm in Las Vegas, but we'll be back live the following week. If you have a question, there is a schedule posted on our Facebook page, and please subscribe to our YouTube page when you go to check it out. Hope you guys all have a great week. Thank you.